Well, good morning. My name is Janine and I was an independent student at Mellitus College way back in 2014 before training for ordained ministry at another place. Our reading today comes from the Gospel of John. We are in chapter 10, starting at the first verse. Very truly, I tell you, anyone who does not enter the sheepfold by the gates, but climbs in by another way, is a thief and a bandit. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep hear his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes ahead of them, and the sheep follow him because they know his voice. They will not follow a stranger, but they will run from him because they do not know the voice of strangers. Jesus used this figure of speech with them, but they did not understand what he was saying to them. So again, Jesus said to them, very truly, I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who come before me are thieves and bandits, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters by me will be saved and will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I come that they may have life and have it abundantly. Well, we live in an increasingly noisy world, don't we? Where it's sometimes difficult to hear one voice. It's a world where multiple voices clamour for our attention all at once. Friends, family, advertising, politicians, big business, pressure groups, politics. Stephen Pass writes in Pilgrims and Priests that we live in a missional culture. Everyone from individuals to multinational companies wants to be heard and wants to influence you. So whose voice do we listen to and who do we hear? In our reading today, Jesus talks of the sheep following their master. A sheep are not known for their intelligence or independence of thought. Yet here is Jesus holding them up as examples of true discipleship. Jesus does not present the sheep as passive, docile, easily influenced creatures, but as active, discerning listeners. The sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them. His sheep follow. They know his voice. They will never follow a stranger. The sheep know and discern his voice, and they choose to follow Jesus, not a stranger. And these sheep are not passive, but active and discerning. They hear the shepherd and they choose who to follow. They don't know where they're going, but they go anyway. I wonder how well we hear and respond to God's words in these troubled times. I'd want to share a story with you. A few years ago, when I was a very new Christian and I was struggling with my newfound faith, I didn't know what that meant for my life, and I felt my life had been turned upside down. And I searched for some answers and I prayed for some direction and clarity, but I heard nothing. And then one sunny afternoon, I was driving home, and as I turned the corner into my street, I heard a very clear voice say, I will be with you. I remember knowing without doubt that this was a word from God. And I also remember thinking, that's not what I want to hear. What I want is some clear direction, some clarity, some answers, not I will be with you. I didn't know at the time how important that word was. I didn't know at the time how often those words or similar words appear in Scripture. A constant reminder throughout Scripture of God's faithfulness to us. And over the years, I've come to recognise that faithfulness. That word has given me much strength. It's encouraged me to take risks I would not have done. It sustains me when life has not gone as planned. It's reassured me in times of uncertainty, and it's given me the confidence and the courage to follow where Jesus has led me. I did not want to hear the words, "I will be with you," but that's exactly what I needed to hear. And I learnt, and I'm constantly reminded, that God's words, his call on our life, often doesn't make sense. But if, like the sheep, we listen and we recognise the voice of Jesus and we follow where Jesus is leading us, even if we don't know where that is, then we can't go wrong. In these noisy times when life can seem a bit chaotic and uncertain, we may have to listen a little bit harder to hear and discern that still small voice of God. But we know that voice is there. It's a voice that's loud in its quietness, that's forceful in its humility, that's clear in its complexity. It's the irresistible, unmistakable voice of God. And our passage today ends with a message. I come that they may have life and have it abundantly. Whatever that abundant life looks like to you, whatever that means to you, we can hear those words and hold on to that promise, whatever the future brings.